We're going to start tonight with learning about EV charging for our town. How do we bring it in? How do we get a hold of it? How do we handle grants and that kind of thing? And Chris and Nathaniel are going to help us out from Green Peak Solar on what they've learned, because they're looking for the same thing in their own towns. So they've done some research.
Thank you, Sally.
Sure.
And I do want to acknowledge, Sally, that there are people within Bristol who have been thinking about this for some time, and that applications for grants have gone in already. And I also want to be upfront with the fact that Nathaniel and I haven't done this before, and we are learning as we're going, but there are a number of things that we have skills in, like siting projects, overlaying electrical infrastructure, land rights, meters, etc. So I think we do just have skills and willingness to contribute that effort. And also these grants and sometimes Green Mountain Power, grants from the state, grants from Green Mountain Power aren't necessarily written in plain English, and there's not a lot of information about how to kind of read the tea leaves. So our hope here is to lay out kind of the playing field as we see it, and make recommendations and offer our support. So with that, I did prepare just a few slides that I'll go through pretty quickly, and then would just open it up to questions and see where it goes from there. Any thoughts or questions so far, or should I just go through it?
Anyone here, go ahead and pipe up if you have a question.
Can you explain or refresh my memory on the charger levels?
Yes. Yep. So I've done my best to really simplify the charger levels as much as I could. They're really level 1, level 2, and fast charging. So level 1, if you buy an EV in Vermont, Green Mountain Power will pay for and install, I think, a level 1 charger in your garage. And that's going to be a slower charge, low voltage, slow charge. Then a level 2, which a lot of commercial spaces, employers will put in their parking lots, and you'll see them around quite a bit. If you see a charger out in the public, generally it's going to be a level 2 charger. Now there's the advent of these direct current fast charging stations that are starting to really become more prevalent. And it is a real piece of infrastructure. This is something that needs to connect to 3-phase power, and it pulls a lot of energy. And the benefit of that is you can charge your car 80% of a full charge in 15 minutes. So it's kind of as close as you can get to a gas station. So you want to have those in high volume trafficked areas. Whether or not Bristol falls in that category, we'll get to, but I think it's a really interesting option. Did I do a good job simplifying that?
That's great.
Yes.
That's great. I'm sorry, Mike. I wanted to just say that there are people who are asking for a fast charge here. And like one of our representatives is saying, get a fast charger. That's what you need to do. So, you know, I just want to throw that out there, even though other people say, oh, it's slow and be fine, because then people stick around and shop for a while.
Yeah, so it is also worth mentioning the last line here. Green Mountain Power is willing to fund a portion of these, and for a level 2 charger, it's $750. And maybe Nathaniel remembers, I think that's per charger. So if you were to do a double charger, I think you actually get 1,500. But then for the fast chargers, because it really is a much larger piece of infrastructure, they're funding $40,000 of those installations.
Towards, I think, just like the interconnection related costs. So
Right.
You still have to, the difference in level 2 is $700.50 is like a rebate, I think, for the charger or for the plug on each charger, whereas the $40,000 grant has to go towards, like, I believe it would end up being like GMP type work.
Yeah.
So, but that's still a significant portion of the cost to install a level 3 or fast charger.
So a successful project will have a number of elements that were not necessarily obvious to me before I started poking around and asking questions. But probably the most obvious is a parking space. But I didn't really think about cord safety as being a real primary input to that parking space. So meaning you want to figure out a way to not have a cord cross the sidewalk, for instance. But you also want it to be in a pretty high traffic area. Then for a fast charger, being really like adjacent to 3-phase power is pretty important, because moving 3-phase power even a small distance is quite expensive. If you move it too far, the project is gonna be a multiple of cost, I would say. And then also not obvious to me was there, like, an actual GMP customer needs to sponsor the project. So somebody with a meter or an account at least is going to need to stand between payments from the charging network and paying Green Mountain Power. And it doesn't seem to be a highly profitable position to be in, to be that project sponsor. It seems mostly an administrative burden would be my characterization of it, but it can't happen without it. Then a charge network and equipment. So there are choices to be made about what equipment to choose, both in terms of what is the most popular network in Vermont? Like what are people most likely to be a member of? And then balancing that with the actual cost of the equipment. So, and that's something that should really kind of be investigated early to price out a few different options, as well as figure out what charge network Vermonters prefer, because I really don't know the answer to that. And then of course, there's likely to be a gap between grant funding and actual cost. So that is definitely something to be addressed. So, and these are all things that Nathaniel and I would be happy to participate in thinking through. So questions about the project needs? Hearing none. So this is a map of existing charging stations in Vermont. Stephen, you're shaking your head.
I can't believe we don't have one in Bristol.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah, this is public charging, so
It's such a hole in the map.
Yeah, so but one thing to notice is fast chargers are really sparse, and they are, but for Waitsfield, they're on the highways, Middlebury Route 7 highway. But you've got a lot of traffic. And then the level 1 and 2 chargers are definitely more accessible and on the lower trafficked areas. And I only bring this up to say, whoever is providing a grant for a fast charger is going to be looking at the same map and thinking about, if there's an application, for instance, in for Virgins or Bristol, they might choose Virgins over Bristol. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't apply for it, but I'm more optimistic about getting funding for the level 1 and 2 because it's more of an administrative application, and if you build it, they'll pay you the fixed amount.
yeah, I wonder how much opportunity too in this case. Obviously, we don't know. We've never responded to these, but seems like an interesting opportunity to be, I don't know, express yourself the right way when you're writing the grant.
Yeah.
Anecdotes about Senator Bray wanting to see one. I don't know if that can hurt in these kinds of processes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if he'll sign the application, it would help, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So charging networks, I don't really know much about these, but I know that they would all offer pretty much the same thing, in that they would sell the equipment and provide the accounting behind the scenes to charge the customer and reimburse the project sponsor. I do think there are variations of quality between them, but I haven't developed an opinion. I think probably the best way to do this might be to interview them, pick 3 and get 3 to price a specific thing, or maybe figure out which ones have sort of the jump in Vermont, because you want people to belong to the community so that they'll use the station. People can obviously, and I think do, belong to multiple networks. Not driving an electric car myself, I don't really know. So getting into funding opportunities, Sally, I didn't see this Green Mountain Power opportunity in your email. I don't know if anybody in Bristol has applied for this specific opportunity, but it's a very simple application. And Nathaniel and I have a direct line to the person kind of in charge. So I think we could get feedback really quickly without too much effort to see if there would be interest in providing funding to a fast charging station in Bristol. The other piece, funding source, EVSE grant program, seems like it's being set up for one developer to install several highway stop fast chargers.
Yeah.
So, and I think this was feedback that you've received already, but I would just highlight that there is this fast charging funding available, but I really don't think Bristol would be a great applicant for it.
I agree.
But we may be able to help you guys find out who is likely to win that RFP. And if there's a site and all the other pieces of the puzzle,
Yep.
that person may be willing to take on Bristol as one of the locations
Mm,
to spend a portion of the 750K on.
That's a good
And
point.
that's, you know,
Right.
not ever doing this, like, numbers are with a huge grain of salt, but sounds like the fast charger is on the order of $50,000 for the equipment. So if you could stack this with the grant for the GMP interconnection, then the monetary needs probably about $50,000 if you can get GMP to pay for a portion. Obviously, you'd have to add on another, whatever it ends up being,
Yeah.
$5,000 to probably $15,000 for the GMP portion.
Yeah.
But so the 750,000 is, I don't know what's the math there, but it's 15 stations in theory would
Mhm.
go for whoever wins the grant. So maybe there's a chance of Bristol being one of those 15.
That's a good point. Yeah. I had a question on the slide before it.
Yep.
If you,
This one or this one?
the station, this one is true, right? Oh, no. I see, I have my little pointer on it, but that's not working. You can't see that.
Love Zoom, huh? Gosh.
It was two beyond that. Yeah, this one.
Okay.
So number 6.
Yep. So
yeah.
number 6.
I think I know what they mean. They mean whoever is the sponsor needs to agree to manage it in a way that we're going to reduce demand during peak. And I don't get the other part though.
Yeah, I think what it really means is they're gonna allow people to put this in pretty much wherever they want, and it could be a really large load. So during peak hours, they're gonna probably govern it a little bit. So, and this is a statement that the project sponsor won't complain if the cars are not charging really quickly during peak hours.
Right.
Nathaniel, do you read that the same way?
I think that's
I
true.
do, yeah. I also don't know how much of that is like actually done in practice, or like I'm on a member of another thing that it's called the Vermont System Planning Committee, and we talk about the state energy load forecast. And I don't believe that any of the utilities have a really extensive like car to grid or grid curtailment program. So I think some of this is potentially just like aspirational or forward looking as they develop, the relationships. And I think there are probably that could be rate design where it gets more expensive, or it could be ratcheting down, or it could even be just needing to call that resource, turn it off completely to make sure that the peak load, if it gets so high, it doesn't cause an outage.
Yeah.
So there's lots of levels of control. But I think a lot of them are theoretical at this point.
Yeah. Thank you.
So Nathaniel and I were brainstorming about where we thought a really good spot might be for really any type of charger, whether it be fast charger or level 2. And we came up with this spot on the green.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see, like, there may be able to be some sort of pole mount. So now let me go back up to here. I mean, clearly there's parking spaces there. And anything would need to be right up against the parking space. It wouldn't be able to be on the other side of the sidewalk for the cord reasons.
Yeah.
So I think town participation would be needed for that portion. It is adjacent to, yep,
It sounds like the same place that was proposed before.
Yeah, it is.
it
That
is.
Yeah, that's the place that we were planning to put it.
Amazing.
You
Well,
agree.
that'll make it really easy to use your application materials. So, wow. So who was the project sponsor? Because that's the part I couldn't figure out. Maybe it would probably need to be the town.
Yeah, it was Ian. Ian filled it out, and he tried submitting it twice, and the second time it went through, but we didn't get it because they were doing highways and bigger or more volume. But he's got all the information, and he said he would hand it off to me. I just saw him today,
Okay.
and he
Did
said he'll
he,
get it to me.
does he have an opinion about which network to use, and has he gotten pricing for the equipment?
I think he did. And this was a couple of years ago.
Cool.
And I think ChargePoint sounds familiar, but I'm not positive because I've been hearing other people talk about chargers, so I can't remember who's talking about what.
I think ChargePoint is perhaps the largest network and probably oldest network.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure.
So
So interesting. And then
would the town, because I think that there are some meters in the park there. It looks, I'm guessing those are town, like you see in the back,
Oh,
right
yeah.
of the car, there's a little meter pedestal. So
Lots
those
of
must be the
meters.
Town's meters for the lighting in the park.
Yeah, there are a number of meters in the park.
Gotcha, cool.
Um,
So the town was basically gonna be willing to be the meter owner, if you will.
yeah, you know what? I'm wondering if this is the same. Is this right across from the post office?
I think that there's another pole that looks
Pretty
just like this, about
Pretty close.
50 yards away to the left.
yeah, so
Okay, it's
this,
the one to the left that we were looking at.
Yeah,
which
I don't know.
I
It
think
might have
they're
been this one.
same difference.
Yeah.
Have all of the same attributes. I would kind of, one of them may be less expensive to install, just electrically for whatever reason. But I think at a minimum a level 2 charger would do great, really anywhere along the green there.
Yeah.
But if lightning strikes and funding is available for a fast charger, I think that would also be pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Or two, maybe 2 level 2s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
I forget what GMP was saying the like typical cost of the level 2 was, Chris.
yeah, I think that the way to do it is, and I think as Sally's mentioned, that the costs are changing. So probably just get 2 or 3 bids and see what comes in.
So
I think,
is the 3 Power across the street by the bank? Is that the closest, or
I
is
think
that?
so. I was looking at that on Street View, and yes, I think so.
Sally, can I interrupt a minute?
Sure. Hi.
Has the select board approved this whole thing?
Yeah, they did that.
I
Do you-
recall the meeting I saw where they discussed it, that there was no decision made on it until all the information was in.
Yeah.
So-
Oh, they haven't agreed to anything we're talking about
Okay.
right now.
That's what
But
I'm.
they
concerned
agreed to the application that happened 2 years ago.
about. Right, okay.
Yeah, this is,
And
yes,
the picture you are looking at, which shows those cars, that's opposite the Sunoco station.
Correct.
okay,
The other one is down further.
okay, great.
And I think the one that we were talking about previously was down towards the Catholic Church on that corner.
Yes,
Right.
it is.
Yeah.
So and we there are probably numerous really great spots to put one. This was just an example that we pulled out of the sky
Well,
for a number of reasons, but it seems like there's
believe
general,
me, we have scoured the town for spots, and it's hard to find a place where you're not crossing a sidewalk.
Yes.
So this is, it took us, a lot of looking, and this is the best place we could find. So, we can't use the backside of the green because of businesses and this and that, and it's just like, there's not much. So this is the place.
Yeah, we do have limited parking spaces in town.
Exactly.
So, well, I have my own opinion on it, but you guys go ahead. I'm gonna mute.
Okay.
That's
Well,
all right.
And so that's kind of the summary of the information that I'm bringing tonight. And I think what Nathaniel and I can provide in terms of assistance is kind of whatever you need, Sally, whatever's helpful in terms of coordination, in terms of preparing documents, getting equipment pricing, coordination of the meter sponsored GMPN network, if it's helpful to have someone stand in between that, and then assist in funding applications. I think those are all things that we could do pretty easily if helpful.
That is a dream come true. Thank you so much.
Great.
Great.
So helpful.
Well, what do you? I wonder if. I mean, are there other interested parties in Bristol that it would make sense to have like a subcommittee?
Yeah.
Um,
I think we should have Ian, who worked on it before, and he's on the select board. He should probably be involved just because he's learned some things, and he knows, he can think about what the select board's up to. And, I was talking to him about money today about it. And he said anything that the town would be able to kick into, they'd have to know so far ahead because they plan, But I also felt like if something needed to happen faster, maybe some community members could come together and come up with the money and then get paid back once the town could find it or something like that,
Yeah, I mean, my hope. Yeah, I understand that constraint, and I would hope to get all of the funding through grant applications. But if that were not the case, we could assist in finding it elsewhere.
This is great. Porter just put in the chat, what about the town's revolving loan fund? I think that's another great idea. This is a perfect use for that.
Don't most of the departments too, like have, I guess what they call them, sinking funds? It's funds that they're stowing away for future expenses that's not going to be used immediately, but could be maybe tapped into, whether it's, the town highway department or, some other entity. I mean, that's
Yeah,
a potential source of income.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, Ian would be able to help us with that. And besides, I like what Chris is saying, is that hopefully we're finding it all in grants, and so we don't have to even go there. That's great. So you're saying we should just think of the people who should be in a small group to work on this?
I think so, and unless you want to do it at this level, we could do it with this group. But I know that you have a lot of other things that you're working on, so it might be more efficient if we had a subcommittee that was really focused on this and came back and reported results.
That sounds good.
And by subcommittee, almost probably an email list.
Yeah.
Call or two, but hopefully pretty working.
What do you mean, an email list?
Well, just like if there's an email with the people that are interested, and want to contribute, then I think a lot of the offline communication can be through an email list that folks can participate in if they want to, but I don't know how, whatever. I don't know how that works with you know, committees and stuff like that. public
Well,
record, stuff like
yeah,
that.
with the committee, we would probably only have 1 or 2 of us on it because we can't really be working outside of the committee. But if we're a subgroup that is, you know, less than a quorum, then we can, you know, work on things. And then bring it back to the committee to talk about it. Well, I'd certainly like to be on it.
Me too.
Great. All right, well, maybe we can just connect outside of this unless there's anyone on the meeting right now that wants to be a part of it and speaks up.
I'm more than willing to participate.
You're the one who's going to be away for a month, is that what you said?
I am. And that's kind of the downside. I hesitate to raise my hand a lot of the time because I like to run away a lot.
Well, we'd love to have you if you want to, if you're able, but if you're not able.
Well, I'm not going to be here until the end of April.
Okay.
So I wouldn't
Well-
be able to. I'm usually here through the summer. I go away for a while in the fall. I'm usually here in the winter.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Maybe we can see what happens in this first month and then have you jump on when you come back.
Sure, I'll check in.
Okay. Great. All right. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'll be in touch and then we can figure out how to go from there.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll stick around and see what else I can learn. Last time,
Yeah.
it was pretty good.
It was such a great meeting. I loved it. I watched it yesterday just to remember what all went on, and it was a really good discussion. So let's move on. And the next on the list, I think we're on to Bristol Solar. Oh yeah, here we have, this is my slide.
Nice one.
So the Bristol Solar, Bristol Community Solar Project is really getting close to being really public with what the actual numbers are, you know, what it would cost for panels and that kind of thing. We expect that information to be approved by next week by the Department of Financial Regulation. And then people will get to look at, you know, whether they feel like they can afford it and how much they would call GMP and find out how much their capacity is and all those kind of things. So let's see what, yeah, I guess the main thing is there will be really thorough informational meetings coming up, and the one for Bristol is March 31st. It's a Wednesday, 2 weeks away. And so community members can show up and learn more about it. If anyone feels like they definitely want to get involved and learn more, they can go onto the Acorn Co-op. Let's see, what is it? acornenergycoop.com and learn more about it and put their full name, address, email, phone number in, and Mary will put you on a list. And then you have the option for getting all the information after that, as soon as it's available. Does anyone have any questions about the community solar right now? Okay, that's cool. So I just wanted to let everyone know that it is coming quite soon and people will be able to learn more about it soon and get involved. It's Mo Electric, I believe. Yeah, so the Mo Electric campaign that Steve Wisbaum has really gotten going over the past 4 years, and really more so now that he's not a dealer for it. He's really going all out, creating an amazing website. And I'll let him talk about it a little, because he'll probably be able to say more accurately what's going on than I will.
Thanks. Before I launch into that, and it's just going to be short, how many of you were at the meeting where I gave a presentation to this group? Was anybody not there? I couldn't see hands, so anyway.
Yeah, I think just Stephen and maybe the rest of us were there.
Okay,
And
okay, so
I
it probably doesn't make sense to, go over the background. So really, it's just an update. Sally took my followed up on that and reached out to Martin's Hardware, and Martin was interested, and in particular, we were thinking about this. Some of you may have heard of this electric bike lending program. Has anybody heard of that? Local Motion. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. For those of you that didn't know, Local Motion is a bike advocacy organization based in Burlington, and they partnered with some organizations, maybe one or two, to make electric bikes available by appointment so people could try these. So I heard about this and I thought, oh, well, we could do this with lawnmowers to give people a chance. So I developed this whole program and strategy and presented it to Martin and Kathleen, and they were interested, and they approached their insurance company, and their insurance company basically said, you cannot do this. So I went back to my original plan, which was to utilize, do something I'm calling neighbor to neighbor demo program, which is basically creating a list of people throughout the state who are using electric lawn care products, mowers, string trimmers, that sort of thing, who want to be basically ambassadors and answer questions and let their neighbors come by or meet at a neutral location, or maybe even go to the person's house that wants to see how they work. Still involving the local vendors, because it's really important to support these local businesses and and get more people involved in this. And it turns out that a lot of these vendors now are starting to sell electric lawn care products, because just that's where the industry is moving. And so when Martin's told me they couldn't do the lending program, I called him back, and I sent him a description of this new program. And yesterday, Martin said, yeah, he'd be interested. And where it fits in, what they will do is they will provide, the vendor's involvement will be that they will provide a small number of whatever models and brands that they want to do this with, of these equipment, to a few local ambassadors who will be able to buy it if they don't already own it, or they want to upgrade or expand their inventory of what they're using at a discount. And he's not sure what discount. He has to look at the margins on these things. And in addition to that, I thought it would be good to sort of track the effectiveness of this program, that the vendor would give these ambassadors discount coupons to the people that participate in this demo program, that they can then redeem at the store for a discount, in addition to the incentives that all the utilities are now offering. So, and he said, great. He just needs to work out the details, figure out what the coupon discount, what the discount to the ambassadors. That's in the works. The next step with that would be to identify some local people, some people in your local community. And this is where the energy committees are really going to come in, because they're the feet on the ground in the local community. They have the established networks, and these ambassadors may, in fact, many of them may be energy committee members, which is fine. So that's happening. We're not ready to launch this yet because my son and I are still working on this website. It's getting very close, but we want to have all these different programs up and running. And so the next program that we're going to need some help with is we're creating so if you go online and look for battery electric residential walk behind mowers, you'll see all these products out there, but there's no way to really compare them to each other. There's so many. And even within a particular company, their models, there's a lot. So I had this idea that it would be really helpful. And so a lot of this is coming from the fact that I used to sell these things. And, so I know the questions that things people want to know, and I'm using one myself, and I know a lot of people that have them. And so we're going to create a comparison chart by equipment type, by brand, and by model. And my son is going through right now and getting sort of the names of these companies and a logo, and then we're going to put this in a spreadsheet, and then we're going to circulate this. And I'm looking for volunteers, and no one needs to sign up right now, but I'm hoping the different energy committees that we're working with so far, which is your energy committee, Norwich, and Stowe and Rochester, within that group, we can find some people it's going to take some hours, and many hands make light work. And so people will take the spreadsheet and just fill in the specifications. And it's going to be all uniform. Like, there's just some basic information that I know people will want to know when they're getting ready to buy one of these, whether it's a residential mower or a string trimmer, because there's a big difference in price, and some other key issues. So I'm going to need some volunteers for that. And then the other thing we're doing is there's going to be a section on the website called Reviews You Can Use, which will be reviews from real people, crowdsourced, moderated reviews of as many of these products as we can get. And at the beginning, it'll just be a few, and then it'll grow. And so we'll need people in the local communities who have these mowers, and then it will be moderated. So it'll be submitted to the website, and we'll and then maybe have the energy committee in the local community call these people and just make sure they're real people, and ask if there's any questions. But it's going to be, the reviews will follow a very specific format. And then lastly, we're going to be looking for people who just want to give a testimonial and hopefully provide a picture. And those will be posted on the website, first name, town, hopefully a picture, just a short statement about, how much they like using electric lawn care tools. Basically, to really jumpstart this and kick it. My goal is to essentially make gas-powered lawn care equipment obsolete within a very short amount of time, and having Vermont be really per capita, just like Vermont, I think at one time was the highest amount of photovoltaic generation per capita of any other state in the country. And I would like to do that with lawn care, battery electric lawn care as well. And already we've already got every utility in the state. There's no other utility in the entire country that is offering incentives for electric lawn care products, equipment based on greenhouse gas emission reduction. And so we have this to build on. And it can be done. And we really can do this. We have an opportunity. Most people keep a mower. A lot of these mowers get changed out. If they last 10 years, that's a long time, especially with the ethanol issue. People are having all kinds of problems with carburetors and they're just tired of it. And now this other equipment really works well. So that's all happening.
That's fabulous. I have a question that came up in the chat. Can I ask you that question?
Yeah.
Or Porter, do you want to speak it yourself? Okay, I'll go ahead and say it.
Porter's muted.
Yeah, Porter, you're muted if you want to ask it, or I'll just read it. Either one. I guess I'll just go ahead and read it. Okay. Would there be several different ambassadors in Bristol, each with a different model or brand? And how would an ambassador identify what would be the right model or brand for their purposes?
I understand I'll answer the part that I understand the question. So yes, my hope was, and I wrote this, and Sally has a copy of the description of this program, and in it, I addressed the issue of models. Ideally, it'll be, ultimately, it's up to the vendor to sell at a discount whatever mowers, brands, and models they want. The objective would be to have, so Martin sells, Sally, correct me if I'm wrong, they had like 2 or 3 different brands, and then they had 3 or 4 or 5 different, maybe 6 different models. Now within a particular brand, there's not going to be that much difference. Well, there's a difference in cost, and the cost is related to runtime basically and power, battery capacity. There might be some differences in the size of the blade motors as well. So yes, the goal would be to have a number of different models. And to answer your other question about how does the ambassador know which model, that's the same question that the consumer is going to want to know, right? That's why the product comparison sheet is so important, because then people can decide, some of it's going to be based on lawn size. That's going to be a big part of it. But also price, if the difference in the price really comes down to runtime, but the power is about the same, then, it might mean that, you're not getting not mowing your entire lawn in 1 hour, but maybe you don't, or, in one session, maybe you got to mow for an hour and come back for another hour. But these these batteries charge up pretty quick, usually I know our steel batteries it came with 2 batteries. Well, we bought 2 batteries. The steel walk-behind mower, that batteries, we got a fast charger with it. So it was it took 20 minutes to recharge this battery. So now you got another half hour, 45 minutes of runtime with these mowers. So because of lithium ion battery technology, there's just a lot of power. So I don't know if there was another question in that, or I answered the questions that were asked, but.
Well, there is another question that has come up, and that is, what suggestions or options are there for retiring or recycling the old gas mowers? That's a tough one.
Well, it's basically, if it's got metal in it, then the metal can be recycled. And in fact, the only other incentives that are out there for for battery electric mowers that I'm aware of is in California. And there's a few other, I think British Columbia has them too. But in California, it was based on smog reduction. And they would pay for these commercial mowers, they would pay like half the price of a new mower, but you had to show that the old mower had been destroyed. So basically, it's basically, we're talking scrap metal, which is where, cars go, where any metal, product that contains a significant amount of metal, dishwashers, just appliances, there's pretty robust recycling infrastructure set up for metal. So that's where it'll go.
Yeah, I can see that's that's a good place to go, but also it seems sad to not use something that's still usable, even though I know it creates greenhouse gases, but it's like taking cars off the road and just throwing them away rather than giving them to someone who can't even afford any lawnmower,
Yeah. So
and let them run it out for its next few years.
Yeah, that's a
more,
good point. And
I don't know, it
I
seems more
agree.
resourceful.
Yeah, I agree. And that's a good point to make, that I personally wouldn't tell someone to get rid of a operating piece of equipment. Although that's the choice that someone can choose to make. My focus is on making sure that every time someone is getting ready to buy a string trimmer or any kind of lawn care equipment, whether it's a walk behind mower, a commercial mower, or whatever it is, that because their old one has failed, is they're retiring it. And it happens a lot with a lot of this equipment. It's got a pretty short life expectancy. A lot of this equipment, chainsaws are a little different. They last, longer, but a lot of this other stuff is, people are replacing it all the time. So, for me, whenever I see, gas powered mowers being sold, and I see someone, I hear someone has just I've had this happen. A friend of mine just bought a new gas powered push mower. I was like, did you think about electric? And he says, yeah, but, I don't think it would have done the job. And I said, and this is a friend of mine. I said, I'm just curious what you based that on. He says, well, I don't know. And once I told him about this and shared some information, he said, he's kicking himself now that he didn't ask. He didn't know that this technology was out there and it's really viable. So it's mostly, that's the goal of this Mo Electric, is just to get the word out. Well, and help people make these decisions if they're going to be replacing or buying something anyway. There's no reason not to go electric at this point.
Chris, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I have a question, Stephen, about web traffic. Because just having an amazing website with incredibly useful information doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get people to go to the website.
Absolutely.
So do you have a strategy for that? And sort of sub question, is there a plan for like in-person demonstrations, like having these at like a farmer's market, or where out where the people are, not necessarily on their screens?
Such a great idea. Well, that's what the demo, that's the neighbor to neighbor demos is in person. But you're absolutely right. Getting them out where people are. Of course, last summer there weren't people, right? Have any of you been to the Warren 4th of July parade?
Yeah, I have a few times. It's great.
Right. 14,000 people show up to that. 2 years in a row, I had my mower there. 1 year by myself, 1 year with someone else with a riding mower. And then I went to the Montpelier 4th of July parade, and hadn't registered, so they didn't let me in. And in a way, I was glad, because I would have been by myself. And so, the goal of this is to get a lot of people involved, and so that it's not just it came to me that I'm done being the movement. I'm ready to be part of the movement. And for 4 years, I've been hammering at this, and we've made a lot of progress, and some of it has nothing to do with me. Just the industry is moving this way, but we have an opportunity to really make this happen. And it's not going to be just me, but it's people like Christopher. That idea, like getting someone to say, "Hey, yeah, let's go to the farmers market," assuming there is going to be farmers markets this summer, and just set up with a mower and let people see it. We did that. I've done it a couple times. There was an event here in Charlotte, and it was the town party at the beach, and I had my mower, and someone had a robotic mower. It didn't really get a lot of traffic. I'm sure, and I don't think it. People they were there to party and drink and eat, and it didn't. I think I talked to one or two people, but.
So we were going to do a green expo last year, like we did the year before, and model some of these things, which we did the year before. So that is going to be a great possibility once we can all be together again, is to just have some demo days, and places that might need mowing already, like down at maybe the Bristol, down at the Bristol Rec Club or something. They let us do a little patch and let people try mowers or something. So we can definitely do that.
So two things. EV, electric vehicle events. I've been to many of those. Again, I was there as a salesperson for one very big, expensive mower, the Mean Green mower. It's a $20,000 mower. Even the residential version of that was $12,000-13,000. So it was really a very small targeted market. But I talked to a lot of people who were looking for smaller stuff, and so there's those events. Also, I had this idea, kind of following up with what you just said, Sally. I had this crazy idea. Some of you may have heard of mobs. What are they called? Well, there's crop mobs where people go and show up and help a farmer harvest. But then there's these mobs that people would get together. Of course, it's all pre-COVID, and just get together and like do this sing along in the middle of the town or something. But I was thinking, would it be kind of cool for a bunch of people to just show up at the town green? Of course, have some publicity, have someone with it, that's good with social media, have a bunch of people show up with mowers and just all mow the town green with these little mowers, permission or not, just do it. And then
I think we do it with permission, personally.
Well, if it's the
We
energy
would do it
committee,
with permission.
yes. But however it gets done, just to bring people's attention to it. But Christopher, you're absolutely right. People aren't going to just go to the website by themselves. But there's a lot of organizations, the networks that exist already, the Sun Common, all the VNRC, just putting the word out that this program exists, and here's some opportunities to get involved. And there's some advocacy work that people can do as well, going to their local school district, talking to them about commercial mowers. So there's a lot that can be done.
Yeah, Nathaniel has an idea, I think.
Not so much an idea, just curiosity. Are the vendors, is this a thing that the vendors have already set up, or are you actually like piloting it with the vendor too, to where you have to go to the vendor and convince them? And I guess depending on what the answer is, that this seems like something the vendors should really want to get behind, and be going out and reaching out to all of their retailers and offering 1-2 mowers at wholesale or whatever.
You said vendors. I think you meant manufacturers. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I guess is the manufacturers making up the difference, or is it Martin's that's having to do it? Because it would seem like the manufacturer should have a desire to do this too, but you probably have thought of that, obviously.
Okay, so literally this whole program I just started working on this program in earnest about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it's just basically myself and my son, and I've been bouncing ideas off of Sally and a couple other energy committee people who contacted me on their own. Rochester and Stowe and Norwich. But so once this is up and running and they see the results, my hope is that the manufacturers will want to get on board and offer these, these mowers at a discount. But we have to show, we have to get some traction, right? Because maybe this is just all crazy ideas and it's going to be a complete flop. So I don't believe that's the case, but I think there needs to be a track record first. And then, so the fact that, Martin's, it's still going to be good for the vendor because it's going to, they're going to be, they only sold a couple of these mowers in the past. I don't know if they carried them 2 years ago, but they carried them last year. I said, how many mowers did you sell? He said, a couple. So we have there's a lot of room for growth. And so if Martin sees, these vendors see results and it brings in traffic and they sell a bunch of mowers, then to give us a discount or give these ambassadors a discount, it's like, it's not costing them anything. It's very inexpensive advertising.
Do the manufacturers sell like more than one? Like if you buy 12, you get them at is there volume discounts? Like, could you do like a volume challenge? Say, look, we'll do this, but if we sell 12 of them, you got to come in and give Martin's an extra 10% off or something,
Yeah. As with any industry, it's all about volume and Martin's is going up against, you can go to Home Depot. Home Depot carries probably, 13, 14 different brands. So, so they're up against that. So that's why he said he had to look at his margins. And, it's just true of, I've just heard that, Hendy's John Deere dealer that then became Mountain View because it joined together with a group. And now that's being bought out by even much larger company called, United or something. So, there is this, it's all about volume, and that's what's killing local small businesses is, and especially now online, you can buy a lot of this stuff online. So, it's, yeah.
I see Stephen is back now, and I'm thinking that we should probably move to window dressers pretty soon.
Fine.
Are there any more things to say around the Mow Electric campaign? Any more questions or anything like that?
Just that I never knew how interested I was in electric mowers until I started listening to Stephen. And now,
Yeah, totally.
So thank you for that, Stephen.
Well, and once you start looking at how much fuel is burned, and there's going to be a Y Electric section on the website which has this, and you can go to my Eco Equipment Supply website and look at the Y Electric section, and it is a commercial mower burns about 600 gallons. These mowers you see these contractors use or institutions, you're looking at about 600 gallons per mower over just the growing season. 600 gallons. That's times 20. That's 12. That's 6 tons of. I think it's 6 tons of CO2 emissions for one mower. So, and then you multiply all these little mowers. This is a really big opportunity that's in a little package to make some really significant dent in our fossil fuel use and greenhouse gas emissions. So that's why I'm excited about it. And I'm glad to hear, Christopher, you're excited now too.
Yeah. Me too. I'm looking forward to helping out with the, pulling together the specs for all those models.
And finding some ambassadors and some testimonials.
Yeah,
and
totally. So thank you. And another have a little bit of information about our window dressers project that we did a couple of years ago. It's about putting in inserts. I'll let Stephen talk about it so that he can share what he's learned and a little bit about the project.
Okay. Yeah. So I think window dressers is, let's see, I don't know how much, let's see, other than Sally, does anybody know what window dressers is? No. Okay. So Window Dressers is a company, a nonprofit company based in Maine that provides materials and support to communities that host their own workshops to build double glazed interior window inserts. They're very effective. They're very efficient. They're reasonably affordable, and they are the workshops are wonderful community building events. We did one here a couple of years ago, and it was a great success.
Great. Yeah.
And obviously they did not. The program has been on hold for a year, obviously, and now they are making plans to ramp it back up. And Vermont has about, I don't know, maybe a dozen towns that are interested, including Bristol, towns that have done it before. And window dressers would like to see whether we could get a workshop here in Bristol again sometime this fall. They're looking specifically at sometime in October or November before Thanksgiving. And I did reach out to Holly Hall today, to Meredith, to see about availability. And it does look like with the lead time, we could easily, or at least probably get a good block of time, probably 4 days or 5 days is what we would need to do a full workshop. And we've talked about this before as an energy committee. Sally, I don't know, let's see, it's just Sally, you and me now from the energy committee here.
Right.
But we've talked about this before, and what it takes is a team of local people to lead the effort. Roughly 4 key people, a local coordinator who sort of is the key point person for the project with window dressers, an outreach coordinator who helps to promote the project and get people interested and signed up, someone to organize volunteers, and then someone to coordinate the measuring of windows when people place their orders. So Sally, we would be, window dressers would be looking to us for some sort of a commitment in the near future. They'd like to put us on the calendar essentially. So we would need to pick a date once we decide that this is what we want to do as an energy committee.
That sounds good. I like the idea of November because it's, you know, a little colder. It's being inside doing a workshop for 4 days sounds better than being inside during foliage in October.
Okay, well, that's fine. It doesn't really matter to me. So I think we could probably look at any weekend in November, you know, prior to Thanksgiving.
Yep. Great. Yeah, it was really fun last year. I mean, 2 years ago, whenever we did it. And everyone who got their inserts were so pleased by cozying up their homes. And the whole process of doing that work together in teams and everything in Holly Hall was just amazing an amazing workshop that was going on there with all these volunteers creating these things.
I'm
I
just
see a
curious.
question happening.
I'm just curious how it works. So people would measure their windows in their house that they think would work with an insert. They
Yeah.
like put that on a list, and then the workshop is literally like an assembly where
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
are learning how to do it, and they make them to fit their windows.
So
Yes,
the measuring
and
would actually be done by some trained measurers.
Oh, cool.
That we would train people. I did it the first time around myself. I got myself trained, and I actually did most of the measuring with some help. And very detailed measurements. We use a digital laser
Oh, wow.
tape measure, laser measure to get it super accurate, and measure for square, address issues to do with the trim details that may be relevant, and then work with the homeowner to identify which windows are the priorities, which one, give them a sense of what they're going to cost, and then develop a list, essentially, however many they want to go for. And then we send the measurements to window dressers in Maine, and they have a factory, an assembly line essentially that takes, 10-foot long 1x2 stock, clear pine stock, and it feeds it through a machine, and it's all cut automatically so that they waste almost no wood. And they bundle up each packet nice and neat, labeled with the homeowner's name and which window it is in the house, and they ship over these bundles of parts, essentially, along with the films that are used to create the two glazings, the tapes, etc. And that's where our local build workshop comes in. Then we all get together, and the homeowners are expected to participate. This helps to keep the price down, the cost of the units down, in the neighborhood of let's just say $35 for an average unit, unpainted.
and then they have these great jigs.
Yeah, it's
each of
an
the
amazing setup. If you're interested, I can send you more information on, or you can just
Really
go look them
cool.
up. Windowdressers.org. Yeah.
So why interior, not like a storm window?
Well, that's really where most of the air leakage is occurring, and where the greatest benefit thermally is had from a comfort standpoint.
Huh? Yeah, it makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, because if you can, they are actually so tight that you keep moisture from, going out through the window and then condensing on the storm window, which is, you see a lot of in Vermont homes, the old triple track storms that on a cold night they're completely covered up with frost. When you put these things in on the inside, that goes away. You still see right through, clear as a bell, clear as day.
Very cool.
Yeah, they're good. They're very effective, relatively simple, easy to build, fun, and pretty much anybody can participate. So,
And it just started with a group of people who started doing it. It really built so fast in Maine because it was so successful. And then it just spilled over into Vermont a couple of years ago.
Right.
I wonder if there's opportunities for like Efficiency Vermont or some of the utilities through the Tier 3 renewable energy standard to like help to subsidize it.
Well, Efficiency Vermont actually did send rebates to people per unit.
Yeah, right.
For these windows. I don't know if it was 10 or $20 per unit that people received. So they're on it.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Which is sort of a testament to their efficacy, really, because I don't think they would be doing it if they didn't believe in it.
Yeah.
So we just need to we would need to assemble a leadership team here locally, Sally,
Yeah,
consisting of Energy Committee or anybody really who's interested in plugging in. I'm thinking that participants from 2 years ago would be good candidates to speak with for some of these roles that we would need to fill.
it might be helpful to bring on one of the videos that Window Dressers creates and playing it on a Bristol Energy Committee meeting so that it's in the recording, and then either that or just send it out on Front Porch Forum and say, hey, we're doing this again this year. Check out the video. Let us know if you want to be a part of it.
Right. No, but I mean, I think we need to probably make that decision sooner than another month from now.
Yeah, okay.
That's
great.
the only trick here. I think it'd be
All
great to do that, to start enlisting people to sign up and, order some inserts. But I
Yeah.
think sooner than that, we need to make a commitment as a team. We need to figure out who the team is. Because in our first go round a couple of years ago, we were really, it was an odd situation, and we really didn't have the leadership team worked out the way we needed to. It all came off just fine in the end, but I wouldn't want to do it that way again myself personally.
Yeah, we're going to need to expand.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right.
All
I don't know
right.
if you want to, yeah. So I don't know how you want to leave it now. Do you want to, we had talked about it before, remember about a year ago, before COVID, we had a conversation as a committee, and I don't know, 2 or 3 other people said, yep, I'll do that job. Yep, I'll do that job. Do you remember that, Sally? It was in the...
Yeah. I don't remember the details, but we could probably look back somehow and figure it out.
Well, we could also, I think we should talk amongst ourselves and
I know Carl really loved doing it, and Mike was pretty involved, and I think Richard was too. So, and then if each of us could go and find someone else.
Yeah. Well, let's check with them and just confirm that they want to still do it, and then maybe pick a date or a couple of dates and see, pass them over to window dressers.
That's great. Would you be into writing that note to them? Because you were kind of the... Just...
Sure.
Oh, that's great. You've got the wording for it, and even whatever needs to go in there, that would be fantastic.
They provide a lot of good...
And we promise...
All right. Sounds good.
I didn't mean to talk over you. You were going to say something.
No. I think we're set. I'll put an email together to the rest of the people who participated 2 years ago and see if we can get some signups for our leadership team.
Great. So the participants, you meaning those people who even bought inserts?
Sure.
Or just the people who,
I think I would put it out to everybody who participated in the workshop, including Energy Committee people, but also people who just signed up, purchased, and helped build their own inserts. Yeah. That's
great.
So it's about 15, 20 people.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much for doing that.
I'll do it. Okay.
It's a great project. Cool. I think we're winding down. Does anyone have anything else they want to speak about at this point or say anything? Sounds pretty quiet. All right. Well, this has been another productive meeting. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. And
thank you all.
See you next time.
Good night.